What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. Taking a look one more time at Infernity, and I forgot about a new card that came out that's literally like one of the best pieces of support that the deck has received in a really long time. And that card, and you'll see in a second, but that card is Worldsea Dragon Zealantis. So basically, it just banishes all the monsters on the field and brings them back. I would say most of the time it doesn't really matter, but in this case, it triggers soft once per turn, and as you guys probably know, if you're watching this video, everything in Infernity is a hard or a soft once per turn. So that is going to be to our benefit. So I'm playing a bunch of danger cards. I've experimented with a few other Infernity monsters. They're all pretty good. Conjure brings itself back for free, which is kind of cool. And in this case, it was really cool because I discarded it to the graveyard using a danger monster, and that danger monster that I used to send it to the graveyard was Tsuchinoko. So at that point, I had no cards in my hand, which I can bring back. Cherubini is like the focal point of the deck because it kind of sends everything that you need to the graveyard. Now, I don't have both Necromancer and the, Archfiend in the graveyard yet, but that's fine. I can start the loop because what you'll find out here in a second is I don't think I have normal summon, which is kind of crazy. So I can bring out Patriarch, go into Dugaris, bring back Archfiend, search another card. In this case, that'll be Mirage. I can bring back 2 now, which is very good. And Sarah usually can help me draw a bunch of cards. Hopefully, I can draw an extender. I do. It's Launcher. You can search out Launcher, so it's kind of unfortunate. I wish it was like Monster Reborn or something, but no biggie. If this card ever comes back to 2, it'd be ridiculous. But now I can search Necromancer. Right? Like I said, I haven't used Necromancer yet, which is really good. Or I haven't normal summoned yet. And of course, I haven't used Necromancer because it's the first time I'm seeing it. Sarah again. Normally, like, there's no one way to do these combos because what you'll find out is that you having bodies is never going to be the problem in these combos, like maximizing these combos. You're going to have crazy end boards. So like I used to be so obsessed with like, oh, I could bring back 2 bodies or 3 bodies if I do it this way. It's like most of the time it doesn't really matter, just focusing on like maybe the ordering of what you're doing. And you could play this. This is a toolbox deck. You can pretty much go into any monster in the game that's like generic. And I can just bring back Cat. And I'm pretty sure now is where I go into this. Yeah, so Worldsea Dragon banishes everything and brings it back. So that triggers Archfiend. And now Necromancer also has like a fresh effect, which is really cool. So I can search out the new Monster Reborn. And this I really love because I mean, ideally, you want to go into the like as much Omni negates as humanly possible because you're going to be Dark Ruler No More protection and all that kind of stuff. So if you can go into Borreload like if you can banish Mirage and go into Borreload Savage Dragon, you're in a really good spot. Sometimes you're going to use Infernity Cat to banish to like go into some of these other synchro plays, but Omni negates are better than like just spell and trap negates. It really won't end up making the biggest difference in the world. And in this case, I had a weird hand, but wow, this card is crazy, first of all, that creepy little punk. Importantly, because it doesn't require you to have no cards in your hand. So I like had so many bodies at this point in my combo. Like I was running out of space, and you can't have any monsters in your hand or have any cards in your hand in general. But yeah, Necromancer, what's it called? Necromancer, Infernity Wildcat, and Archfiend. Those are equal to Baron. That's 10. So lots of level manipulation that you can do here. And then I can bring back, Archfiend, searching the last one. I'm not done yet. Yeah, so I really like this card. And I actually make a little mistake here at the end, and I'll show you how. But Chen Ying is a really good card, actually, with this. It's a generic Synchro 10, just like Baron. But this card banishes an Infernity card in your graveyard and then destroys another card on the field, which obviously triggers Chen Ying. So these cards work really well together. And just being able to clear your board is also just like a generally good thing. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is bring back Archfiend. And actually, Zero Max doesn't trigger Archfiend, which is kind of funny. You don't ever really need it to, but it's just a kind of a silly interaction. But it destroys everything with lower attack than that card. So, yeah, I tried to use General. I'm not using this card anymore because you just never, you never need those kinds of extenders. There's just everything extends in this deck. And when I bring this back, it has 1800 attack, that has 1200, so that's going to go. So I just kind of wanted to show that interaction more than anything. But despite all of that, 2 bounces with a monster, or I can actually shuffle 2 cards back into the graveyard. This is an Omni Negate. This is an Omni Negate. This is going to banish a card from field and graveyard. This is an Omni Negate. That's a pop, and that's an Omni Negate. So despite my little mess up there at the end, kind of just want to show that off. But despite that, you know, I have more interactions and my opponent will have cards, which is pretty good, obviously, assuming that literally every card in your opponent's hand is like gasoline. Right? Your opponent, no Dark Ruler or anything like that. Forbidden Droplets, they'd have to discard a trap card, which they probably won't, right? Most people don't play trap cards. If they do, these are still going to be online, you know what I mean? Super Poly obviously is like a really good one. Like Super Poly could get rid of these 2, so like your back row's offline, but you would still have 2 bounces and Baron, which is, you know, pretty decent. I hate Super Poly, so you can never really truly play around it, but I think that's probably pretty good. I'll just go over the other ones real quick. Nothing, they're kind of similar. I just wanted to show that I feel like a lot of the combos I show just what's it called, tour guide as the only way to kind of make your plays, but you don't. There's lots of weird different ways. You saw last game how I kind of did that, and I think I do even something even weirder. Into the Void obviously is good. I wish these cards would come back to 3. Like, I think it sucks if it's not. Like, if Upstart Goblin and like Into the Void came back, like this deck would be so significantly better in terms of consistency. It'd be fun, but yep, I'm just gonna keep bringing these back. These are 2 level 3s, so I can go into Cherubini, which is fantastic, right? Like I said, Tour Guide helps you get to Cherubini the easiest, but there's so many different ways to get to it, like naturally. And you know, once you have a Monster Reborn, Necromancer plus your Archfiend, there's almost no way like to mess it up at that point. Like, you're just gonna have a crazy end board. You always want to go into number 62 Garrus, like regardless of your situation, because like, well, I use the new Firewall monster, right? A lot of these cards are OCG, and by the time Creepy Little Punk comes out, the new Firewall Link 6 will come out. I think that's actually coming out soon, so I'm gonna assume that I'm just gonna play it in the deck, and I'll probably buy this in real life when the cards come out. And I think I'm going to buy a copy of that Link 4 like soon, because I think it's cheap, and I would imagine at some point in time they're going to make that card good. Just because if it's going to have its own archetype, I don't know. But Saraisia, if you use Saraisia twice, like that's another good indication that you're doing things right. Here are 3 Monster Reborns, so, and you always want to banish Mirage because you want to bring it back. And yeah, I banished it to go Nefe Don Draxter. Like I said, a lot of the times you want to go into Borreload Savage Dragon, but everything's just weird. Everything's its own situation. This is just one of those decks that you're going to have to play around with for like a couple hours to like fully kind of understand. And I'm sure I'm not playing this like 100% correct, but as you can see, even me kind of like messing around, having played it kind of minimally, I'm still putting up some of the most like crazy end boards that you could possibly conceive in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not saying the deck is like great, because like it's probably, you know, it's very if your opponent has like hand traps or anything like that, it's obviously very bad. But it's just an old deck. It's fun to play, especially because like if you're a fan of a particular monster for whatever reason, Stardust Dragon, or you know, there's a million different cases. Like I said, almost every monster in the game, Synchro, Link, kind of XYZ wise, are accessible. So your end boards just come down to your creativity. But yeah, this Link 4, man, is so nuts. Like, it just being able to trigger everything again. It's like Thousand Eyes, but 10 times better, because you're already going to go into Saraisia like automatically. Like, Infernities just do that. And being able to churn that Saraisia that gives you advantage into just re-triggering all of your effects is obviously just very good. In this case, I had the 2 pops, or the 2 Omni Negates, a pop, an Omni Negate, and Baron. I think that's Chen Ying. That's right there. Yep. 2 bounces, a spell and trap negate. Very, very good, of course. And this time is Tour Guide. You know, when you see Tour Guide, you're like, okay, well, this is pretty good. Seeing the 2 searchable Monster Reborns are a little unfortunate to see in your opening hand, but can't complain too much. You know, Rhino can send Archfiend, and then I can send Necromancer, and thus the combo kind of begins. And I search another, like I draw into another Reborn, so this hand is looking quite good. I can bring back Danger Mothman. I like to bring back Mothman because it's kind of like Patriarch, right? It's just a level 4, and I think that's probably what I do, or maybe I just go straight into, no, I search Patriarch, Yeah, I do like Mothman because, well, it discards a card from your hand, right? If it's, which is great. Even if it's discarded, it lets you draw and discard. This is like one of the better cards in the deck. Again, you just can't have any monsters in your hand, so you got to get creative. But when it's level 4, you can use Archfiend with it and then bring back Archfiend to trigger its effect again, if you don't have Patriarch. Okay, so I can just bring back Necromancer. I can bring back Archfiend, Serija Skuldred. Triggering, you want to grab Wildcat as soon as possible because you want to start your synchro plays. This is the only tuner in the deck, essentially. Yeah, never forget Launcher can discard an Infernity monster from hand. That's always like a really important kind of interaction. Now I can banish, bring everything back, triggering all my effects again. You know, Archfiend, Necromancer's online. Hopefully I go into Borreload Savage Dragon here. That's probably okay. Yeah, it is good to go into the new Firewall as soon as possible because you need all of those monster zones. So clearing that is usually like a really, really good thing. I can bring this back. I can go into Borreload Savage Dragon. This is probably one of my better combos that I ended up doing. But they've all been half decent, I would guess. Yeah, I can go into Baron. So yeah, this is like what you really, really, really want to do. You know, and that can bring back Cat, and then Cat can turn into, you know, the rank 3. So this is a monster negate, Omni negate, Omni negate, 2 bounces, pop, Omni negate, Omni negate. Like, yeah, and that's probably enough to get it done against your opponent. I think I have Tour Guide one more time. Kind of weird to have all these monsters in your hand, but Into the Void can help me draw one more. But the thing is, and this is kind of the key, and it's not like too important, but it has come up a lot. Like, you want to go through, if you have Tour Guide in your hand, before you draw any cards, right? I have Into the Void. Send everything possible to the graveyard first. And I did have Necromancer in my hand. So I think in one of my videos before, I said, you want to get 2 Necromancers in the loop. It's not bad to get 2 Necromancers in the loop, but what I've come to realize is that I was like too focused on that. Like, again, having bodies on the board is not going to be the problem. It's like managing the bodies and resources that are on your board because you have so many. That's the difficult part. So normally I think I would have sent 2 Necromancers, but in this case, right, I want to send Wildcat. When you see Wildcat early, it's great. Yeah, Dark World Dealings into, like, it's so good with Huntsman. You just draw 2 cards. You know, lower your hand size. And now I have all danger monsters, so I'm definitely going to be able to, you know, clear out my hand. And hopefully I just need to search. I need to find 1 monster reborn, which I do. And I'm also going to be able to go into Serija Skuldred if I don't draw into a monster reborn. I did in Creepy Little Punk, but I'm also going to go into Serija. And I grab Launcher, so everything kind of works out here for the best. And now I can bring 2 back. Again, you don't have to focus so much on monster maxing, if you will. And I did not use Serija Skuldred Infect to special summon. That's going to open up Necromancer, and then Necromancer can bring back Wildcat. And I'm pretty sure I go into the new, like, this is an essential part of the combo now. Just, it's free. It's free bodies. It's a free monster reborn. And the amount of advantage you get off of just 1 is just, it's so good. Yeah, I can just hard make F.A. Don Dragster, bring this back. Probably turn all of these into the Link 6. That's right. And yeah, as you play the deck more, you'll get more used to that. Like, just, the Link summoning is, like, the really important part. Because you want to, like, use it, the awkward bodies or the expended bodies to its, like, maximum use. And in this case, I did, right? Keeping Wildcat on the board is no problem. Like, it's usually pretty good, you know, if you can. But if you've used both of these effects, you need to get them off the board in an effective way. And, you know, this is, like, the best way to do it. This card is, I cannot wait to pick up this card. It's so fun. And I needed to free up a zone, so anything that I drew is actually pretty good there. Borreload Savage Dragon is always good. And I can bring back 2 bodies again. Although in this case, I think I'm kind of done, right? Cycidia King, 2 Omni Negates, a Pop, a Spell and Trap Negate, 2 bounces to the hand, a Monster Negate, Omni Negate. Yeah, so not too shabby. And I think I just showed this one, so I forgot. But yeah, that is Infernity again, but I just had to show off that card just because it's like, you have to play it in the deck because it's so crazy. It's so insane. It's like, yeah, one of the best pieces of support the deck has had in a long time. And let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.